Azure artifacts. See, right from the beginning when we started working with pipelines, when we first created a build pipeline using Classic Editor, we have started working with actually artifacts. But artifacts by itself has a much wider scope in context of DevOps. So in this particular session, I'm only going to focus on artifacts and most importantly, the different types of artifacts and how to deal with them. Yes, we know this pretty well. An artifact is a deployable component of your application. We want to deploy this. And it can be anything. It can be, most of the time we have seen in our case, the zip file is going to be generated. It can be a DAC pack also we have seen. It can be a simple DLL file if needed. It can be a collection of few files. It can be a simple text file at times. It can be any kind of file which can be generated as an artifact. And of course, these artifacts are the ones which we then used in our release pipeline for deploying our applications. These components can then be deployed to one or more environments. And these environments, like we call it as dev, UAT, production, like that. We have got multiple environments in which we deployed it. So how do we get artifacts? The artifacts can come from the output of a build pipeline. The artifacts can be directly picked up from Azure repo. The artifact can be picked up from GitHub. Artifact can be taken from TFVC. So there are multiple sources from where we can actually take the artifacts. So go to the project and you'll find here, when you take a pipeline, let's pick up an existing pipeline, maybe the release pipeline. You go to releases, edit, and you see here, this is an artifact. And definitely we can have multiple artifacts added to a project. So when we add multiple artifacts, this is the artifact which is being picked up from the output of build pipeline. So in that case, you have to simply select the build, which build you want to use. Or you can take it from the Azure repo. Directly from the project, you can pick it up, some particular file as the artifact. You don't even need to build it. Just pick up the whole project. Or you can put your artifacts in GitHub. If it is in GitHub, from here you'll have to manage a service connection to GitHub. And from there, you can specify which repository you want to pick up the artifacts. Team Foundation version control of Azure DevOps can be used. Azure artifacts can be used. Basically, these are feeds. This is actually the main focus. These ones. We are going to use these as the feeds. So if at all we have a feed, from there we can pick up something. GitHub releases, Azure container, some kind of container, Azure container registry, the repository. From there you can take Docker images, or even for that matter Docker Hub. If you have put your images in Docker Hub, there also you can take the image as an artifact. And Jenkins, if at all you have used a Jenkins pipeline, the output of a Jenkins can be used for release. So these are all different possible types of sources for an artifact in your release pipeline. The most common is what? The build artifact. The most common. We build our project, and after we build whatever is the output, we would like to take that as the build artifact. Of course, the build artifact is also used for compiling the source code, performing the unit test on it, performing other kind of tests like code coverage test, vulnerability test, licensing test. All those things we perform, and finally we declare that yes, these are the artifacts which are actually ready for being deployed in the different environments. So how does it actually happen? The produced artifacts are actually stored in a secured place within the pipeline. I mean by the Azure account. Azure is storing it probably in backend, something like storage account it is using or some kind of database it is using, and that is where all the artifacts are stored. The produced packages are immutable. That means once an artifact is generated, we don't edit that. We just take it and as it is deploy, let's say first in dev environment. And only when everything is successful, without making any changes to those artifacts, we can again take the same source and deploy into QA, so that we are sure that whatever was there in the development, the same thing is going into the QA, and whatever was there in the QA probably is going into the production. So that's why artifacts are always immutable packages. Very important point. So what is happening? Artifacts are stored in a secured location, and the build pipeline after completed can trigger a release pipeline, and the release pipeline uses a secure connection to these secured places to get the build artifact. Precisely this is what I am talking about. This is the release pipeline which will automatically go to the secured location where the build pipeline has produced artifact and pick it up from there and perform additional actions to deploy this into the different environments, dev, QA, production, or whatever you have created. So this is the most common thing which we have been doing it since beginning, not new. But let us now explore little more. With Azure Artifacts, you can not only create the build and pipeline artifacts, but you can also have Maven packages for Java. You can have NPM packages, JavaScript guys will use them. NuGet packages, .NET people will use it. .NET Core, .NET Framework. So with Azure Artifact, you can create and share Maven, NPM, NuGet packages feed from public and private sources with teams of any size. So these packages we are going to use for distribution in our organization, maybe to the same project, maybe in different projects or whatsoever. You can fully add integrated package management to your CI/CD pipeline with a single click. I'm going to show you. We will create a pipeline where directly the project is published. Azure Artifact introduces the concept of multiple feeds that you can use to organize and control access to your packages. So we have to actually create feeds, and there can be multiple feeds. If you are familiar with using packages from NuGet.org or npm.js, you can think of those places as a single feed. See, generally in software development, if I am a .NET developer, I am going to use Visual Studio. And when I use Visual Studio, I try to add many NuGet packages in my project. Likewise, if I am a Node.js programmer, I am going to use npm.js. JavaScript, Angular, all these people use npm.js. Java people will use Maven. So there are different locations actually from where we are going to use packages in our project. But what Azure Artifact is going to give you support for, you can put all these things at one single place, that is in your DevOps account, and from there you can distribute to the rest of the organization. It's a centralized location. It's a single feed from which you are going to provide access to the various packages. And not only the predefined packages, but also the custom packages which one team builds and wants to give it to other team. You can achieve the same using the NuGet using the feeds which are there in Azure Artifact. So yes, we have got build artifact. We have been using this from the beginning. These are build artifacts. So if I take you to a pipeline, any pipeline, the output generated by this is a published build artifact. Likewise, even if you take a pipeline in YAML, there also generally we have something like this we have been using. Published build artifact. Drop folder. Azure publish location. Most of the time we want to publish the build artifact to Azure pipeline only. But alternatively, you can choose a file share. But this is going to work only if you are going to have a self-hosted agent. If you have a self-hosted agent within your network, you can share some drive and you can give here that shared drive name. Say this will be machine name, and on that the drive letter name or a folder name, whatever. One of the folders on one of the machine on the network is going to be marked as shared, and from here, after the build is completed, directly we can publish it to that. Of course, this will be useful only if it is a self-hosted agent. In Microsoft hosted agent, you don't have the choice of using file share, you have to use only Azure pipeline. So that's what is publish build artifact. Build artifacts are files that you want your build to produce. Build artifacts can be nearly anything that you want your team needs to test and deploy your application. Anything. It can be a DLL, executable, PDB symbols, anything, C#, C++, .NET application, Java application, Python application, anything. Those can be build artifacts. Something new which I am talking about for the first time is a pipeline artifact. Pipeline artifact is a better way of doing something. Let us read this. You can use pipeline artifact to help store, build output and move intermediate files between jobs within your pipeline. See, the beauty of pipeline artifact is somehow Microsoft has made them better and more optimized to give you better performance. The build will be faster. And these are the ones which can be used between different jobs. You know that one stage can have multiple jobs. So if one job produces the artifact, the other jobs can take its input. So between different jobs, we can use this pipeline artifact. Pipeline artifacts are tied to a pipeline that they are created in. You are supposed to use the pipeline artifact only in the pipeline in which they are created. You can use them within the pipeline. You can use them within the pipeline, which is going to be very efficient. At the same time, you can download them from the build as long as the build is retained. Remember the retention policy I was talking about, every build has. So as long as the build is live, from the build pipeline you can download the pipeline artifacts. Pipeline artifacts are new generation of build artifacts. Microsoft now actually recommends you to use pipeline artifact rather than using build artifact. What is the advantage? They take the advantage of existing services to dramatically reduce the time it takes to store output in your pipeline. Of course, they have a limitation. They can be used only in Azure DevOps services. As of now, they are not available in Azure DevOps server. On-premise instance of Azure DevOps, it is not available. Only for the cloud service, it is available at this point of time. So in short, what we would actually want to do is replace all our build artifact tasks with the corresponding pipeline artifact, and we are not going to see any difference in our output, but we are going to see the better performance over a period of time. I mean, the pipelines will execute faster. Internally, it is optimized for performance. They have improved it. Yes, you have Maven packages, MPN packages, NuGet packages, Python packages, Python Py. All these things also can be used from their respective repositories. These are all actually different repositories, public repositories. From there you can use it. You can publish Maven artifacts to Azure artifact or Maven repositories. How to do? We will see that. But just a brief, we have already covered this actually. We have already seen publish build artifact. This is what I am talking about. Publish build artifact. The same command. Publish build artifact. What to publish? Whatever is the content in artifact staging directory that we want to publish. And the artifact name which is created, we are calling it as drop1. So when we want to download this into another pipeline, we will call the drop1 as the artifact which we want to download. Same thing with build publish artifact. Here I am giving a different, default is drop. So I am creating different folder. So one I can publish as drop1 and another I can publish as drop2. Possible. A single pipeline is producing multiple artifacts. Very, very, very important. Note the task before publish build artifact should generate output in build.artifact staging directory. And that's what we have been doing here. Before publish build artifact, we always had .NET publish, and .NET publish generated output in the build configuration. Generated output in build.artifact staging directory. And from there we used it always. So this you know pretty well. You can copy the files explicitly using the copy task as below. Suppose you don't want to use this kind of command. You can always do a copy command. So from your source, you are taking the content, which can be exe, dll, pdb, and you are copying them into the artifact staging directory. Whatever is your source project, suppose imagine now you have taken this. Now in publish command, if you don't give this, the output would be probably compiled in the source directory, or else you can give output as source directory. Then after this you will have to add one extra command here, copy, and copy explicitly the content from the source directory into the artifact staging directory. Copy files can be used for anything actually. From any source you can copy the data to or files to any other destination. So either use the direct output through the command itself, the publish command, or else you copy explicitly. And after you copy the content into this, then only we are actually creating multiple copies of the artifacts by these names. Now, this where we will do, this we are always going to do in our build pipeline. After doing this in build pipeline, we have to download this in the release pipeline. And you have always seen that if I have a YAML, here we have used something like drop. Drop from the current. This is actually one task. This is a shortcut. This is a shortcut to what? Build, download, build artifact. Download, build artifact. Current is the latest version of the artifact. Single type, single artifact we want to download, and the name of the artifact is drop. And download path, from where you want to download, artifact directory. And once we have it downloaded, then you know we can actually use it. That's supposed to be artifact staging directory. Once we have downloaded, we can always use it in subsequent steps. We have used like this for publishing it to the web app. So definitely these are known things to us, nothing new. Publish build artifact. Only thing you learned what? You can explicitly, if required, give a artifact name. It's your choice. Of course, here I have not done filtering. Maybe you can actually give something like /release and /debug. So the content from reverse. This you might call it as release drop, and this you might call it as debug drop. So what is the advantage? when you are going to download, debug drop you will publish into probably a dev environment, and release drop you are going to probably publish in production environment. This will be suitable for debugging, this can be suitable for production. So like that, you can download the respective artifacts by their name and then publish it. Here you have to give actually drop release, download build artifact, and that we would publish it into project. So shortcut of this is this. This is a short form. Like this, now what is recommended by Microsoft is not to use build artifact, instead use pipeline artifacts. The command has slightly changed. Instead of public build artifact, it is now publish pipeline artifact. Instead of download build artifact, it is download pipeline artifact. That's all. Build is replaced with pipeline, and this is considered to be much faster. Pipeline artifacts provide a way to share between stages in the pipeline or between different pipelines. They are typically the output of a build process, same thing, that needs to be consumed by another job to be deployed. Artifacts are associated with the run. They are produced in and remain available after the run has completed. So actually speaking, theoretically there is no difference. But in background, it's the performance which makes the difference. And that's why we said it's a better it's better in terms of the way the download, upload and download will be done. So use this task in the pipeline to publish artifact is not published, is not supported in release pipeline. Note that publishing is not supported in release pipeline. Publishing is only supported in build pipeline. We don't publish it in release pipeline. It is also supported in multi-stage pipeline and YAML pipeline. Definitely, we would want to use this in YAML, something like this. Now, one small difference which I noted is this is publish build artifact. This is publish pipeline artifact. Here, the file or directory is workspace by default. So when you have file or directory as workspace, whatever is there in the pipeline, the whole thing will be published as it is. Artifact name is optional. You may or may not give. And here also you have the choice of using file share. But it's always recommended to give artifact name, not necessary though. So let me show you. Now I'll comment this off. So my build pipeline, this is my build pipeline, and the build pipeline is now publishing using publish pipeline artifact. And what is it publishing? The complete workspace. Let us see this. I'll save and run. The output of this is going to be artifact, and that I'll show you is the complete workspace. You'll have A folder, S folder, B folder. A is for artifacts, B is for binaries, S is for source. You'll find all that now in our published output. You can always explicitly mention what type of artifacts you want to download. Basically here you can give a pattern. That's the advantage here. When we are doing download, see, we have published it. After publish, what comes next? Obviously we want to download. So to download a specific artifact in a CI/CD pipeline or in a classic release pipeline, we will use download pipeline artifact. The download pipeline download build artifact. Now it is download pipeline artifact. A single download single download step can download one or more artifacts. This is important. So when you actually give here the name of the artifact, only that artifact will be downloaded. But when you don't give the name of the artifact, all the artifacts will be downloaded. Whatever are the artifacts created by the pipeline, the current pipeline, whatever artifacts were generated, all of them will be downloaded. Files from multiple artifacts can be downloaded. And the task does not fail if no files are downloaded. Remember, this is going to fail if there are no files available in web app artifact. It's going to fail, but this is not going to fail. A folder is always created under the download path for each artifact with files being downloaded. Actually, still initializing the job. Now it started. I'm actually interested in seeing the output here. So advantage here is you can specify pattern and download only specific particular file from the artifact rather than downloading the complete artifact. If you don't want to download, okay, this is something very important. If you are creating a release pipeline, let me show you the release pipeline. In release pipeline, in your stage, you will not see any step like download. There is no download. Whereas we have seen in YAML pipeline, we have to first write download and then we use publish to app service. Very important, remember this. In YAML, we have to give first download and then we have to publish. Whereas here we don't see download. Why? If you are using a pipeline artifact to deliver artifact into a classic release pipeline or a deployment job, you do not need to add a download step. A download is injected automatically. You don't have to mention, it's automatically there. If you want to control over the location where the files are downloaded, you can add download pipeline artifact task. If you want to control where they should be downloaded, download pipeline artifact should be downloaded in which location, that you want to control, then you use it. Otherwise, don't use it. It's automatically there. Sometimes we do not want the download the artifact. Just say download none. To stop artifacts being downloaded automatically, add download step and set its value to none. Very important. So now, by now, I believe this run should be completed. And you see here, under drop, we will have not showing up. Something went wrong. You see, actually this is the staging. This is the artifact. Artifact directory. But what we did, we published the complete workspace. This feature is not there in case of build artifact. It is only through publish artifact, release artifact. Pipeline artifact, sorry, publish build artifact does not support this. Publish pipeline artifact supports something like this. And you also have source code which is published. This is my source code actually. Not sure what could be the usage of this, but yeah, definitely it's an advantage. And if you don't want all this, you always have a choice of going to YAML, and here you can change this to build dot artifact staging directory. You can write that. You can just replace that with build dot artifact staging directory. Even that is possible. So here you are producing output to artifact staging directory, and directly from there you download it. You directly publish it to artifact staging directory, and from there it will be downloaded here. The name of the artifact would still remain drop. So you have a choice here. So see, without making it very complicated, what is being recommended strongly by Microsoft is stop using publish build artifact, instead start using publish pipeline artifact. Stop using download build artifact and start using download pipeline artifact. And these will give you better performance in execution of the pipeline in the way they are programmed in background, in the way they are storing it into the storage account or maybe database and then retrieving it from there. These are considered to be much optimized in performance. Some more things which I found in the documentation. Pipeline artifacts are next generation of build artifacts and are recommended way to work with artifacts. This is a recommendation by Microsoft. Artifacts published using publish build artifact task can continue to be downloaded using download build artifact. Possibility is there. What you have published using build artifact can continue to be downloaded using download build artifact, build. But you can also download the latest using download pipeline artifact. See here, we are using download build artifact, but here it is saying that replace this with download pipeline. What it means is not necessary what is build published and build download is not necessary. You publish build artifact and download pipeline artifact is also possible. Now when you are migrating from build artifact to pipeline artifact, all the time we have been using build artifact, and gradually now we are recommending, Microsoft is recommending to update to publish pipeline artifact. From here we are going to this, and likewise here we are using download pipeline artifact instead of download build artifact. Now what is that you should know? For build artifact, as I said earlier, it is common to copy files to artifact staging directory and then use publish build artifact task to publish this folder. With publish pipeline artifact, just publish directly from the path containing the files. Not necessary, you should compulsory do like this, not necessary. You can directly, whatever source you have given here, directly pick up from that source and publish it. You have to only mention the path given here as same here. Actually we are giving different here also. Pipeline workspace itself I published, but you can always go and say under pipeline workspace I want so and so directory, maybe source, maybe artifact, and again in that is the advantage which this is going to give us. By default, download pipeline artifact task download files from pipeline workspace. That's what I showed you. It's downloading from pipeline workspace. This is default and recommended path for all types of artifacts. Don't change this. It is recommendation by Microsoft that we keep it like this. And at the time of publishing, under drop, you should add here double star. You should first give here pipeline workspace and then drop, which is the artifact name, and then if you give double star, Anywhere deep, it will search for the relevant zip file and publish it to the app service. I mean, the best thing I suggest you people do is like I did here. After you execute the pipeline, understand the directory structure. Go here and understand the directory structure. Once you understand the directory structure, you know this is the workspace. Under workspace, drop. Under drop, A. Under A, release. My requirement is this. So I can directly give workspace / drop / and this name. That is the recommendation which is being given here. File matching patterns for download build artifact task are expected to start with the artifact name, regardless if a specific artifact was specified or not. Basically, we did not give any pattern there in download, but here we are able to specify pattern. And of course, pattern should not include the artifact name when artifact name has already been specified. Here don't specify the artifact name if you explicitly mention the artifact name like this. So yeah, even I would say that after reading huge amount of material, definitely 100% clarity is not given by Microsoft, where actually what exactly is the benefit of using publish pipeline artifact rather than using publish build artifact. That clarity is still not perfectly given in any of the documentation, except for these kind of statements where they are strongly recommending you to use publish pipeline artifacts over build artifact, and taking care of these few points. That's all. So yes, from today, if at all you are going to build a pipeline, discard build, publish build and download build. Replace both of them with publish pipeline and download pipeline artifacts. So this is all about whatever we have been doing in the past. What we have to do with the Azure artifacts in context of the packages, that's what we will see next. That's all in this session. Thank you.